We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Ring the notification bell. Share, smash the like button. Share the video. If you want to support this independent national college football rebel outpost with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $sign where you make your comments, and I will get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. I decided to launch this live show, and we might as well call it a super live show, earlier than normal, because I got a feeling that we're going to be on for a long, long time. I told the little general, I asked the little general if I can have a super duper long show today, and she said, yes, you can, but we started it off early today. I have I mean, I don't even know what to say. You can, Ryan Brooks, you can take your wife, significant other out to a 2-hour movie. You come back and we'll still be here. I had a very interesting discussion last night with PATC, Peek Around the Corner, Notre Dame source. We had a very long and interesting discussion, and I put it out on X that this is what we were going to talk about today. I had that at number 7 on the list for this live show. Number 7. I don't even know if we'll get to it. Maybe we'll leave it for tomorrow. It's all tied into everything else. We had a very calm, slow, relaxful live show yesterday. Not a whole lot of people showed up and watched it. You know, they were watching the rocket launch to the moon, which is fine. And now today, there is no relaxation. Today is wall-to-wall coverage in college football. We did 2 episodes today. We released episode 477 and 478. We're going to touch upon both of those stories at the beginning of the monologue. We're just going to touch upon it. I'm not going to try to spend too much time on it because we did 2 episodes on it. You want to watch it, you go and watch it. And then after that, we are going to Ross Dellinger puts out an article today that is describing how basically it's a fait accompli that the NCAA basketball tournament is going to expand. But then he puts out a couple of paragraphs in the middle of his article that talks about how this media contract ends and that media contract ends and the NCAA tournament current media contract ends, the college football playoff contract ends. And then he put a little bit in there about the SEC, which should tell a lot of people the story about what is going to happen. The SEC it is thought, it is believed that the SEC is going to be, well, we've talked about it here at Peek Around the Corner, that they're going to go into their own early meeting negotiations with ESPN. They're not going to wait around until 2034. They're going to be doing an NFL. The SEC is going to be doing an NFL. And I have tried to report as clearly as I possibly can that I've given elbows to the Southeastern Conference. I've thrown the elbow. They did not stand up and deliver last year. But what I will say about the Southeastern Conference, and I think a lot of people have gotten it wrong, the SEC is not a poverty conference. Not even close. Not even close. I think people have picked up the wrong narrative on what is going on. Sure, the Big Ten has won the last 3 national championships. Sure, the Big Ten has these big alumni. Sure, the Big Ten is in these big markets with a lot of corporations and Fortune 500 companies. Sure. But the SEC they're undervalued right now, and they know it. ESPN knows it, and future media companies know it, and ESPN doesn't want to lose the bulk of the SEC They don't want these big streaming companies and taking the big bulk of their content. Early meeting negotiations. But that's not all what Ross Dellinger said in this couple of paragraphs. He also attached the part where at the same time the ACC schools are going to be looking at $100 or less million for their exit. We're going to go over that paragraph. I think what Ross Dellinger is trying to do, now I don't know for sure, obviously. I don't know for sure. I believe he's trying to clear, I think he's trying to say something without saying something. Because, you know, I think there's a lot of NDAs out there. There's a lot of cloak and dagger out there. There's a lot of information that is embargoed out there. And I think Mr. Dellinger and others are trying to explain to people that that there's going to be massive change happening. And the SEC is probably going to do it around when they would negotiate their media package. And that is when, ladies and gentlemen, the SEC will have the leverage. As we've talked about before, in conference realignment, if a conference wants to expand, the further away into your next media negotiations, the more leverage your current media companies have. The closer you get to the next media negotiations, if you are an SEC or a Big Ten, the more leverage the conference has. Well, the SEC has a whole lot of leverage, and their media contract isn't up until 2034, but ESPN is going to have to come to the table. ESPN is going to have to come to the table because SEC is undervalued right now. I'm being honest. And Ross Dellinger put it in the article. And again, I think probably most people kind of, didn't even read that part, just glossed over it. But it was like, bam, it's right there. And that's not all. I mean, that's a whole live show unto itself, but we're not even close. Then we're going to talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide athletic director coming out and saying, well, you know what? I'd be okay with scrapping the Southeastern Conference championship game. The sacred, the valuable conference championship game, scrap it, according to the Alabama Crimson Tide athletic director. Holy smokes. So we're going to go through what he said. But he did not only talk about the potential new college football playoff format. That's not... He went on to talk about how if a school doesn't follow the player compensation rules, if the school ignores the player compensation rules, that school could be expelled from the conference. That's how serious some of these big time programs are being about. We've got to have rules. If you don't follow the rules, then you're gone. You're out of the SEC. You should be gone out of the Big Ten. You should be gone out of the ACC and the Big 12. Holy smokes. And that's not all. That's not all that we have. Again, this is going to be a long, live PATC show. So buckle up and brace for impact. Get yourself a sandwich, get yourself a pop, get yourself a water, get yourself an orange juice, and come on back because we're still going to be talking college football. Bo Bishop, the fan, 97.1 I think is the number. From Columbus, Ohio. Had Paul Finebaum on today. And the last question was asked by Bo Bishop to Paul Finebaum. The question, and I'm paraphrasing here, you can go and watch it yourself. The question was asked, okay, about Greg Sankey and his saber rattling, saying that if we can't get this thing governable, we're going to have to break away. We might break away. We're thinking about breaking away, basically. That's how Bo Bishop described it. And Paul Finebaum said, the barbarians are at the door in the SEC. The barbarians are at the door. Paul Finebaum said there are very big, important voices in the SEC that is done. Done. They're done with the NCAA, they're done with the NCAA, and they're basically done with everybody else. They're done. They want out. They want out. Important voices, they want to be gone. And then he said, and the date to look out for now is Memorial Day. Coming off the Destin, Florida meetings, SEC spring meetings. Now, Paul Finebaum did not come out and say that the SEC is going to declare their breakaway around Memorial Day, on Memorial Day. But he did imply greatly that is probably when they're going to make the decision, if they haven't already. Finebaum said that it's time for the Big Ten and the SEC to get together and form something on their own. That they have not been getting along very well. They haven't gotten anything done, although they just got a volleyball scheduling agreement. But Paul Finebaum brought up the Big Ten. The Big Ten and the SEC figuring something out together. But Paul Finebaum says the barbarians are at the door and the Memorial Day date is the one to look out for now. Now, we're going to have something happen. We're going to go into that in our monologue. We're going to go into that in our monologue, in our live show. But there's going to be something happening before that, right? We're going to have the Nebraska 18 decision, arbitration. So we could have this big thing blow up in the month of April, and then in the month of May, what happens in April could cause even more fuel to the fire in what the SEC finally does on Memorial Day, which is just a huge story, a massive story. And then I had that long discussion with the Notre Dame source last night before all this happened, before Paul Finebaum said what he said. And it was a long discussion, not as long as this live show is going to be, but it was a long one. And he went into details about how the world would look like to Notre Dame if the SEC goes their own way. And he talked about how the SEC, he's been told that the Southeastern Conference, again, this is not a bluff. It's not a bluff. The SCORE Act has to pass. There has to be governorship. We have to be able to govern ourselves. In the courts, among ourselves, some sort of enforcement arm, or the SEC's gone bye-bye, and it's going to hurt everybody. And it's going to hurt the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And he went into great detail about it. And that was before what everybody was, that's before Paul Finebaum came. And I put it on X, I said, ooh boy. The Irish silo. Let me show you. Let me show you real quick. Let me show you real quick here. This is what I posted at April 1st, 9:40 p.m. 9:40 p.m. last night on X. Interesting convo tonight. We'll discuss tomorrow the Irish silo. And there it is, coming crashing down. There is not going to be no Irish silo. There can't be no Irish silo. It will not work. And how does that affect the Notre Dame Fighting Irish going forward? Notre Dame doesn't want anybody to go in their silos. They don't want anything to do with that. So this is our live show for today. We're going to be on for quite a long time. So buckle up, brace for impact. I'm going to go through the roll call. And again, you know how it works. If you give us a call later in the program, the floor is yours. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. Your super chats, again, you can talk about whatever you want. We'll talk about your super chats. Again, thank you all for joining us. I do appreciate it. April 2nd, this is a super show. We've got a lot to talk about. Muggy Wow is in the house. Ben White is here. Jared Jones, Eric Phipps, Jeff Keyes, Benjamin Griffin, Ron Lowney is in the house. Adam, Zero Wiz, Caleb Ramirez. Thanks for coming on in, Caleb. RT is here. Karan Shakar. Morris Simmons, the Seminole Wind. Morris Simmons is here. Son of Sarek. The Architect is in the house. Thank you, the Architect. Al Bundy. Al Bundy. Yeah, he mentioned that. It's not in that article, Al Bundy. It's not in that article. He talked about it later. Go ahead and Google it. I don't really have a link for it. I'm just going to talk about it. When we get to that part of the show, I'll Google and I'll get a link to it. Somebody put it on the X account and talked about what Greg Byrne said about kicking out members if they do not follow the player compensation rules. MBM Oklahoma State Cowboy is here. Big Gun Shop is here. Michael Hart. Congrats to Missouri for winning the President's Cup. Final four of college chess twice during the past 3 years. Congratulations. All right. Here we go, guys. Here we go. We've got a lot to talk about. We've started off Super Chat. MBM starts us off today with a Super Chat. Holy smokes. $10 holler MBM. Notre Dame plus a few seasoned gritty ACC schools to the Big 12. Stick it to the P2. Go, Pokes. Thank you, MBM. Thank you for your generosity once again. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Notre Dame and a few ACC schools to the Big 12. Stick it to the Pokes. MBM. We'll see about that. We'll see if that happens. Maybe a few gritty ACC schools. I don't know about Notre Dame, but we'll find out. We'll find out together. By the way, Oklahoma State, there is more information coming through. BLG and other Oklahoma State Cowboys are sending me information on that hockey program. They're looking. The Cowboys are seriously looking at a Division I hockey program in Stillwater in the year 2030. Wow. And for those who love college hockey, which I'm one of, the growth of the sport is slow but sure. Slow but sure. It costs a lot of money, but once it's entrenched into the culture, once it's entrenched in the athletic department, once the students of that university go watch the first college hockey game, they are hooked for life. And this Michael Mann guy, he's serious. He's not asking for anything. He's not asking for his name up on any wall. He's not asking. He just wants to get it done. Now look, there's a lot of national college hockey fans that sit here and pray for the growth of the sport, and it's been growing. It's been growing. But we've had these dreams of this school having that program, this school having that program, and at the very last moment, the rug gets pulled out from under all the hopes and dreams. A great example is Illinois. We all thought Illinois was going to have a team, but then COVID came and crushed the plans of the Fighting Illini to have a Division I hockey team. So we're going to pray for Oklahoma State. We're going to pray that they get a hockey program in Stillwater in 2030. They're going to have that outdoor game in 2027. That is a serious attempt. Very exciting times in Stillwater. Thank you, MBM. Thank you so very much. We're going to talk about Cody Campbell in a moment. Once again, Ryan Thomas, BYU Cougar. Cody Campbell needs to shut his yappa. Thank you for the $2 holler, Ryan Thomas. Appreciate the generosity. You know, Ryan Thomas should kick in a few of his dollars. And BYU should build up a hockey, Division I hockey program. The Big 12 can get themselves a 6-team hockey conference by 2030. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? BYU, Utah, Arizona State's already got one. They've already done the big work on that. And then you've got Oklahoma State. You need a couple of more in Colorado, although that would be difficult. It would be difficult for Colorado because they already have the Denver Pioneers. They've already got Colorado College. Probably ain't going to happen. Oklahoma State, Arizona State, the two Utah schools, BYU, Utah. You need to find two more. You need to find two more. Let me know what those other two could be. Thank you, Ryan Thomas. Thank you for the $2 holler. I appreciate it. Ryan Thomas comes in with another super chat. Ryan Thomas, BYU is working on it, Greg. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Ryan Thomas, if you got any information, please let me know on that, what they're doing in the background. You would think BYU, you would think that would be something that would be mighty attractive to the university, to the students, to the community. You would think that Utah, the University of Utah, would try to get it done, because that might be help their dreams of getting into the Big Ten. You would think that Utah would be somewhat motivated. I'm having trouble thinking of another two Big 12 teams. You don't need to have 6 full-time members of the Big 12 to create a Big 12 hockey conference. You can invite a couple of teams as an affiliate to fill out the Big 12 hockey conference. So, anyways, Ryan Thomas, Thank you for the super chat. MBM, thank you very much. Let's talk about it. Hey, Greg, West Virginia has a hockey team. You have a club hockey. We're talking about Division I, where you got to, scholarships. You got to pay for the scholarships, and you got to have a decent enough arena and all that stuff. Utah has a hockey team, yes, HCHA, but not a Division I hockey. We're talking Division I hockey. It's a big step up from HCHA to Division I hockey. It just is. We think that UNLV might be on the precipice of going to Division I hockey. So that might be a program by 2030, which Oklahoma State, UNLV, Arizona State. Okay. Let's get into it, everybody. Let's get into it. Texas Tech. Yep. They could be one. Absolutely correct. Okay. Now, we already talked about this in our episode 477, I do believe. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark, Cody Campbell does not run the Big 12. Holy smokes. The Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark, Cody Campbell does not run the Big 12. We went over, I'm not going to go through this whole article. We went over in episode 477. Go back and watch it all. Big 12 Commissioner talking about Brett Yormark, how foolish it is to have Texas Tech and Houston possibly play on a September 18th Friday night game. Brett Yormark snapped back. Cody Campbell, I heard about it through the Tech football staff up here and our administration that it was being discussed, Campbell told Avalanche Journal Tuesday, March 31st. They have the draft or whatever, and the conference doesn't want to really acknowledge it. But they do have the ability to influence those decisions. They just chose not to because they were chasing ratings, which I do understand on one hand, but on the other hand, high school football is important to the state of Texas. Again, you want to read the whole article, you can go to our episode 477 and we go through the whole article. I'll give you my thoughts on it real quick. I gave you my thoughts on episode 477. I have no idea what Cody Campbell is complaining about in public. I understand why Cody Campbell and Texas Tech in Houston would not like to play a Friday night game between two Texas schools. I get it. But why are you complaining in public like that? Why are you having a spat with Brett Yormark in public like that? You're a big booster of Texas Tech. You're the chairman of the board at Texas Tech. You're also part of the roundtable with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. You're part of a subcommittee. Why are you talking about it in public? Why are you giving shots to Brett Yormark in public? I think that's inexcusable. That doesn't do anybody any good. Can you imagine a booster from BYU, Utah, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Kansas State, anytime a scheduling decision comes out and they do not like it, they bark at Brett Yormark and they go after him in the manner that Cody Campbell went after Yormark? Can you imagine every booster doing that? Especially if it's a booster that concocted this Saving College Sports plan, who has spent tens of millions of dollars in pushing this legislation into Congress. You're in that position and you're barking at Yormark because Texas Tech and Houston might play on a Friday night. Texas Tech and Iowa State are the only two Big 12 schools The only two Big 12 football teams last year that played on Saturday for their every single game that they played. So Texas Tech should not be playing on Friday nights? That was not part of the Big 12 and the media rights agreement with their media partners. That's not part of it. Now, if the Red Raiders negotiated that into the contract, if they had the leverage to do so, then of course the commissioner would have to follow along. But that wasn't part of the deal, obviously. So again, what is Cody Campbell? Why is he going out in public and bashing Brett Yormark like this? Once again, it's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. What other booster, chairman of the board, is bashing their commissioners multiple times in a 12-month calendar year? Name me one. Name me one. Again, as I explained on episode 477, I think Cody Campbell has done a wonderful job for Texas Tech. The Matador Club has done wonderful things for Texas Tech. I believe everything has been done above board. I give Cody Campbell kudos for putting his plan out there, putting his money behind his plan. I'm not so good on he wasn't transparent about all of his plans, but I'll give him grace on that. But when it comes to his inability to get along, he wants everybody to come together to save college sports, and yet he's taking shots at his commissioner because the commissioner and the media partners might have Texas Tech play a Friday night game with the Houston Cougars. Talking about shooting yourself in the foot. Cody Campbell has great influence in Lubbock, Texas, as he should. He's put his money where his mouth is. He has elevated the Texas Tech Red Raiders brand. He's done a lot of great things. But his influence outside of Lubbock has always been overrated. And his influence in the Big 12 just took a big nosedive. I can tell in the chat room. I can tell by the Big 12 brothers and sisters of the PATC community. I can tell by those in the National College Football Reporters. I can tell by the Big 12 YouTube channel hosts. The reaction is all the same, or almost all the same. What is Cody Campbell doing? I don't agree with Cody Campbell on this. So I don't know. And then Cody Campbell put out another post today that I don't know if it was in jest or whatever, but he talked about how everything runs through the Big 12 in Lubbock. Cody Campbell saying that Brett Yormark should understand that he's not a dictator, that the presidents run the conference. I think Brett Yormark understands that. Brett Yormark has a Cody Campbell problem. And I'm wondering, Brett Yormark has all these initiatives he's trying to push through. He's trying to present this vision, this ultra capital. I wonder how much the Red Raiders are backing any of these things that Brett Yormark is trying to do. I wonder if there comes a time that Brett Yormark just says, I give up. I'll walk out the door, which Cody Campbell wants to happen, by the way. Anyways, put down your comments in the comment section below the video. I don't want to spend any more time on that unless it's in a super chat, or if you give us a call, we'll talk about more of Cody Campbell and Brett Yormark. But we did release episode 477. Go give it a watch. Go give it a watch. We do a deep dive on the issue. We've got a super chat from the Michigan Wolverine, Amazing Blue. $2 holler. One day, Greg, Minnesota might win like Michigan in hockey. How long has there been the Big Ten Conference? A little bit over a decade. Who has won the most Big Ten championships in hockey since the formation of the Big Ten Conference? It ain't Michigan. It ain't Michigan State. It's not Penn State. It's not Ohio State. It's not anybody but the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And the Golden Gophers will rise again in hockey. Of course they will. Of course they will. So get your elbows in now, Amazing Blue. Throw your elbows in now. But one day, we'll be back on top, baby. We'll be back on top. I should not say this, but even the re-elected mayor of Louisville City is not going to stop the Gophers from rising again in hockey. We've got a $2 holla. Cody is the Joe McCarthy of college sports. Wow. Joe McCarthy. I think I've told you this story. I don't know if I told you guys this story before, but Joe McCarthy is sort of, kind of, not really, not blood, but sort of related to yours truly. Kind of. My father, Gerard Pflugar, brother George Pflugar. George Pflugar was older than my father. My uncle George Pflugar, his wife, they were married for 60-some years. They've all passed away. His wife, niece, married Joe McCarthy. So it's not by blood, but my aunt, niece, married Joe McCarthy. And my aunt still had the wedding invitation of the Joe McCarthy and her niece getting married. Joe McCarthy got married later in life, and the story goes that he did not really get hit. He really did not start drinking all that much until he got married. But again, allegedly. I don't want to get sued by anybody. Allegedly. Anyway, thank you, Ryan Thomas. Cody is the Joe McCarthy of college sports. Antoine Johnson, I'm late. Arizona State would never leave the NCHC to join the Big 12 Hockey Conference. Oh, I don't know. Maybe Antoine Johnson, but the Minnesota Golden Gopher fans used to always say Minnesota would never leave the WCHA to join the Big 10 Hockey Conference. We would never leave playing North Dakota. We would never leave playing Denver. We would never leave playing our own Minnesota Duluth. We would never leave the WCHA conference. But then it happened. Because the Big Ten wanted us and said, please, 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 and Minnesota said to the Buckeyes and to Michigan, you've done so much for us. All right, we're going to leave. We'll form the Big Ten Conference. So I don't know. You might be right, Antoine, or I don't know. I do not know. We've got a $2 holla super chat from the Evil Badger, Ryan Willa. Wisconsin will win the Hockey Natty this year. Evil Badger has called it out, ladies and gentlemen. The Evil Badger, Ryan Willie, my God, has declared Oh, my God! The Badgers, the national champion in hockey. Ooh, boy. And then Tuffy Duffy comes on in and says, Wisconsin has to beat Michigan. Who's loading your talent? I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. It will be fun to see. Thank you, Evil Badger. Thank you for your generosity. Very much appreciated, sir. Thank you so very much. Tay-Town Hawk, my father's brothers, my cousin, my former roommate. That's what I was trying to say. That's exactly what I was trying to say. My aunt's niece married Joe McCarthy. Okay. All right, so that's one big story. We've only got 6 more to go. We've only, again, pack yourself a lunch or go and get a sandwich, go take a drive, come back, we'll still be talking here. We've got this is a super massive, epic show that we're doing on April 2nd. That's why we had to come on early today. It's why we had to come on early today. And then we released episode 478 this morning. If you haven't watched it, go watch the whole thing. We do a deep dive on it. I'm just going to show you a little part here of Ross Dellinger earlier today talking about the Final Four riches mask UConn football's growing revenue problem. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole article. I do want to show you this part. Benedict, the athletic director of UConn, acknowledges that the school is against, UConn is against moving its other sports without an invitation from a power conference. The most recent example of such a possibility emerged in 2024 when Big 12 officials in UConn were actively involved in expansion negotiations until the conference paused the talks. And though discussions have not restarted, the league's commissioner, Brett Yormark, remains bullish on the Huskies and their prospects as an expansion target. Okay. There's a couple of things I want to point out. Yesterday on the live show, and I've done this a few times over the last few months, but yesterday's live show, I just happened to say the chatter behind the curtain, Brett Yormark still wants UConn into the Big 12. I made that comment on yesterday's live show. This is not a secret. The chatter behind the curtain. Brett Yormark, I better not say that. It's not a secret. All right? It's not a secret. Now, Brett Yormark, this is how Ross Dellinger says it. Brett Yormark remains bullish on the Huskies. In other words, he thinks that's still going to be, that UConn would still be a good add to the conference, to the Big 12 conference. And we've gone over the reasons why, right? Big market, Eastern media, free Eastern media, because they're going to have to talk about the Big 12 more. Brett Yormark's theory, and Greg Sankey shares the same theory, that basketball value is going to skyrocket, and we're seeing some of that already. UConn would probably attract better, more lucrative, more options on private equity and all that stuff that the Big 12 has been looking at. Brett Yormark is going to try to decouple the football and the basketball content and negotiate those media contracts separately. And UConn, of course, would help all that. So Brett Yormark has his reasons. He believes that UConn would be a great blend to the Big 12. Get that big market in the Big 12 involved. Now, Ross Dellinger uses his words. You know, he chooses his words. Brett Yormark remains bullish, the things we just talked about, in their prospects as an expansion target. Remains bullish on the Huskies and their prospects. So Brett Yormark has not given up on UConn Huskies on becoming a Big 12 member in the years ahead. That's something that he's pushing for. Again, they have not had, and we have also said this, we have no information that the talks have restarted on that. And then Ross Dellinger just reported this morning the talks have not restarted. But Brett Yormark remains bullish on the Huskies and their prospects for Big 12 entry. So put down your comments and thoughts. What do you think about that? Has your mind changed at all? As a Big 12, as a fan of a Big 12 school, are you less bullish on the UConn joining the Big 12? Are you more bullish on UConn joining the Big 12 than you were before? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know with your phone calls. Okay, so that's the UConn story. Again, we covered it more deeply on episode 478. Go check that out this morning. We released 477 and 478 episodes. Go check it out in our library of episodes at PATC. Now, let's get to an article here that I want to get to. Buckeye Greg, we got a super chat. Buckeye Greg. $2 holla. $2 holla. This will be the year of the Buckeye football. And right now, Buckeye Greg, I agree with you. As of today, I agree with you. I might change my mind. But as of right now, I do agree. I got the Buckeyes number 1 in a way too early top 25. Buckeyes 1, Longhorns 2, Ducks 3, Hoosiers 4, the Red Raiders 5, the Irish 6, the Hurricanes 7, the Bulldogs 8. Although I don't think the Bulldogs are going to finish in the top 2 in the SEC. I think they're going to finish 3rd. We're not going to talk about that now. But that is my top 8. The Buckeyes at number 1. So right now, I agree with you, Buckeye Greg. Thank you for the $2 holler. Very much appreciate it. Now, again, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. There's one certain paragraph in this that I think everybody has got to take notice. Everybody's got to take notice to this. Ross Dellinger, despite the outcries against it, the NCAA tournament expansion will happen, and here's why that's the case. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole article. Talks a lot about basketball. You can do that if you want. But just like the SEC and the Big Ten they put the screws to the rest of FBS football in that they wanted more control of the college football playoff format and they wanted more distribution money. The 4 power conferences, the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 10, and the SEC, and possibly the Big East are going to be putting the screws on the other conferences in Division I basketball. They want the expansion. The ACC and the Big 12, it says in the article, really want the expansion. There's a lot of interesting information in this article. It talks about how the NCAA expansion, it will happen. It will happen. And then it talks about the future format of the college basketball tournament. Again, I'm not going to get into that because this is a college football channel. Okay, so it goes through the information and all that. What happens in 2031? This is the part that I want to talk about on this live show, this super show, where we've got at least 7 big items that we need to talk about on this show. And that is without the breaking news that might happen during this live show. What happens in 2031? Ross Dellinger. The inevitable expansion of the NCAA tournament is only one piece of a larger conversation about the future of the event. Keeping the NCAA intact. All 350 plus Division I schools operating under one national association has been a central goal for the industry stakeholders for the last decade. Financial disparities splintering not just Division I, but the 137 school FBS and even the 68-member Power Football Group is making it more difficult for all of us to hang together. It's been on top of the mind, most notably for Charlie Baker, the 10-year settlement agreement with 3 antitrust cases. We calling all those three cases the House case, right? The NCAA office and the non-power leagues are footing 60% of about the $2.8 billion back pay to the athletes. But nothing works as better glue to bind the Division I than the NCAA tournament. In fact, the event has emerged over the years as a deterrent for a breakaway of the power football conferences whose executives either cherish the event, Sankey has said this publicly, fear the political backlash, or both. One of the hurdles, for instance, in the SEC Big Ten's ongoing but separate discussions over governing themselves is none other than March Madness. So March Madness is one of the big hurdles for the SEC and the Big Ten to go break away from the NCAA, which we're going to talk about later in this live program, in this monologue, because Paul Finebaum has some juicy stuff he talked about today. We're going to talk about it here. But Ross Dellinger is saying one of the hurdles that plays against the SEC breakaway is March Madness. But Ross Dellinger not only said that, again, pay close attention to the words he chooses to use. Ross Dellinger, one of the hurdles, for instance, in the SEC Big Ten's ongoing but separate discussions over governing themselves is none other than March Madness. We're not done yet with this article. But Ross Dellinger is telling you, he's slipping it in there. He's sliding in there. We often talk about the SEC, their serious negotiations talks, ideas being presented to Greg Sankey. SEC serious discussions about breaking away from the NCAA, going their own way. Ross Dellinger is telling you in this article that the Big Ten is having those same discussions. At this point, not with the SEC, separate, but they're having the discussions. One of the hurdles to break away is the March Madness. In one of the hurdles, for instance, in the SEC and Big Ten's ongoing but separate discussions over governing themselves is none other than March Madness. And that's not all. That is not all in the article. Let me show you another. Let me show you something here. Okay, buckle up here. Buckle up. Buckle up. I'll get to your comments in a moment here. Again, we're going to be here for a long time today. There's so much stuff going on. We had to load it all up. We had to start this live show early in the day. A lot of people are not going to be able to join us. I do apologize for that, but we got to load up. We had to start early. Get a load of this. The NCAA's contract with TV partners CBS and Warner Brothers Discovery expires after the 2031 tournament. Okay? Negotiations over any new tournament fall amid a key stretch of years 2029 to 2032. So 2029, we're going to have those crucial media negotiations about what March Madness is going to look like, how much money, and all that. At the time, 2029 to 2032, at the time when many within the college athletics industry expect significant change, including conference realignment and alterations to postseason events. Right? This big change that's going to happen. 2029 to 2032. All right? Now, here is the PATC money shot of the article. Existing media rights agreements in the Big 12, Fox and ESPN, and the Big 10, NBC, CBS expire over that stretch. They expire to 2030-31. However, the Big Ten's deal with Fox runs to 2036. That's a whole nother subject. There's Ross Dellinger slipping it in there. Sliding it in there. The SEC is likely to enter into an early renegotiation window with ESPN, and the ACC's exit fees drop below $100 million during that span. So, the Southeastern Conference is Ross Dellinger is letting everybody know that it is very likely that the Southeastern Conference is not going to wait around to 2034 to renegotiate with ESPN and whoever else wants. They're going to be in an exclusive window. And that is the time that the SEC is going to have the most leverage when it comes to expansion, adding more content, adding bigger footprint, and adding another media partner. And why would ESPN want to go and do this early negotiation with SEC. They don't want to. They don't want to. But the SEC has been able to build up some equity. Look at the ratings. Look how undervalued the payment is to the SEC. And ESPN does not want to get on the wrong side of SEC. And SEC doesn't want to get on the wrong side of ESPN. So Ross Dellinger, you know he's been told, you know the chatter behind the curtain. And this is why I don't think this Southeastern Conference expansion has to wait. It doesn't have to wait to 2034. It doesn't have to wait to 2030. Especially if the Nebraska 18 wins in April, and in May, we'll talk about the Memorial Day breakaway here in a moment. But that is the avenue. That is the grease that will grease the skids for SEC expansion. That early negotiations. The SEC is likely to enter into an early renegotiation window with ESPN. They're not going to wait around. They're probably not going to have to wait around. And that is a monster piece of news that Ross Dellinger slipped in to this article. So I felt that I really had to bring that up because, again, I get a lot of comments here, and I don't blame people for saying this. I don't blame people for thinking this, but a lot of people bringing up this idea of SEC poverty conference. And I keep saying, no. They already have a $35 million gap with the Big 12 and the ACC, and it's only going to get bigger. They're going to renegotiate that contract, and it's going to be a monster. And if you are a university who you make the call to the SEC and they have interest in you, you're going to do all that you possibly can to join the Southeastern Conference. Because this last contract was massive. The next contract is going to blow away everybody. The Big Ten is going to be able to keep up, but the SEC, again, they're not going to wait around. They're not going to wait around. Wait. On paper, it says 2034, but the SEC doesn't have to wait to 2034. Unlike the ACC that has to, unfortunately. They have to wait to 2036. Unfortunately. Before we get on to the next story in our big super show, we've got 5 gifted memberships from the incredible, edible Bill G, the Oklahoma State Cowboy, 0062-392, Boss Stacker, Woody Bortner, 1 Tim Mo 4, Dave Valinsky. The Gopher Dave Valinsky was all received a gift membership by Bill G. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Bill G for his incredible generosity. All of you are knighted. All of you are knighted. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Thank you, Bill G. Thank you, very kind, sir. I appreciate it. And again, Bill G, I said it early in the program, and we talked about it for about 2 or 3 minutes, the Oklahoma State Cowboy hockey situation. We'll talk about it more later, like tomorrow. I can't really fit it in on today's show, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. We did talk about it a little bit. If you want to go back, anybody wants to go back early in the program, some big stuff going on in Stillwater. Big stuff. Okay. Woo! Thank you, Bill G. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. 5 gifted memberships. Wow. Adam says the SEC will announce next year they are taking UNC and Clemson. Then everyone takes a year off to watch the ACC respond. Then the Big Ten will take 2 and 28. I don't know if the Big Ten is going to wait for the ACC to respond, but we shall see. We shall see. Edward the Auburn Tiger, thanks for coming on in, sir. Appreciate it. Okay. Now, that's not all. I know the monologue, we've gone on for an hour and 10 minutes. And some of you have to leave. If you have to leave, please come back, because we're not even close to getting through this monologue. There's even more bigger information that is coming out today. More bigger information that is coming out today. We've got Alabama athletic director. My goodness, it doesn't stop. Not on April 2nd. It does not stop. Alabama. Of course, when the Alabama athletic director talks, everybody should listen. Everybody should listen. Alabama athletic director gives a big opinion on the SEC championship game future. The ship has sailed. Blake Tokmayer, USA Today, early this morning. Holy smokes. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the boss of Alabama athletics, believes the SEC championship game should be no more. End it. I think the ship has sailed. It's run its course, Alabama athletic director Greg Byron said of this SEC championship game during an exclusive interview with USA Today. Folks, this is massive, seismic. Consider the source. This isn't some gadfly calling for change. This is big. This is monstrous. We're talking about the veteran athletic director at Alabama. The Crimson Tide made the Georgia Dome and then the Mercedes-Benz Stadium their home, away from home, the past 30 plus years. Since the SEC became the first conference to introduce a conference championship game in the 1992 season, no team has played for the championship or won more titles than the Crimson Tide. Now, though, Greg Byron would prefer to proceed directly from the regular season to the CFP. It's a great event. I don't like the idea of it going away, but I think it's reality with an expanded playoff. Greg Byrne emphasized he's but one voice, but he must know he's a prominent voice. He's not alone in his opinion either. Earlier this offseason, Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte indicated his preference to dump the SEC championship game. You've got the Alabama Athletic Director, you got the Texas Athletic Director. And before those two athletic directors spoke out, the SEC coaches started to question the utility of a game that used to be one of the big events on the college football calendar. Coaches don't want to be in it, Lane Kiffin said in 2024. These are not whimsical musings from pundits and pot steers like myself. When coaches don't think the juice of the SEC championship is worth the squeeze, and when prominent athletic directors think it's time to end the game, you must take seriously that conference championship games are an endangered species. Why have a conference championship game, Del Conte said in February. The obvious answer to that is money. The SEC championship generates gobs of it. So how then do you offset that lost revenue if the SEC championship game went bye-bye? Expand the playoff. If you're going to go to a 16-team playoff, you're adding more games. I would imagine it would be pretty good content. Alabama athletic director said, be pretty good. He also means revenue generating. To be clear, the playoffs is not going to 16 teams. Not yet anyways. The playoff will remain at 12 for at least the 2026 season because the SEC and the Big Ten could not come to terms on a playoff expansion plan. The Army of 24. Hold the line. Hold the line, Army of 24. Our time will come. They're coming to us. We don't have to go to them. They're coming to us. The SEC coaches, the momentum, the May spring meetings in Destin, Florida. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. The SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 favored a proposal to expand the playoff to 16 teams using a 5+11 format. The Big Ten stood in persistent opposition while uncorking a variety of other plans. 24 teams, the Army of 24. Now the Bama athletic director continues to favor the 16-team playoff. I think we need to pick a lane. If we're headed for 16, then there seems to be some pressure for 24. So as soon as we get to 24, some people are going to want 48. The Alabama athletic director preference for a 16-team playoff would include an automatic bid awarded to each of the Power 4 conferences, plus a group of 6 auto bid, and then 11 at-large bids. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think you get the point of that story. Now, look, when we talked about the expanded college football playoffs, the possibility of the expanded college football playoffs, months and months and months ago, we had SEC people in our chat room. I love you all. I love my brothers and sisters of the SEC, but a lot of you said, the SEC championship game, there's no way that's going away. That ain't going away, Greg. The fat guy from Minnesota. You're way up north. You do not understand. You do not understand the history, the money involved in the SEC championship game. Yeah, it sounds like there's some pretty big voices that say dump it. Get rid of it. Expand the playoffs. We'll make more money. No wear and tear in our players. No risk. Whoever is the top of the standings after the regular season is over, they are given the championship of the SEC. Now, I want to throw a little bit of a curveball in here. Scott Docterman said it. After this information came out, Scott Docterman came out and talked about how there is a way to do a conference championship game without more wear and tear on the players. And that is to have week 12 be the flex week. In other words, the Southeastern Conference goes back to 8 conference games. 8 conference games that are scheduled before the season starts. And that 12th week, or the last week, the 13th, 14th week of the season, becomes the flex weekend. In other words, 1 versus 2 in the SEC championship game. 3 versus 4, 5 versus 6, 7 versus 8. Have it a flex weekend. Have it a flex weekend. Much like what the Big Ten tried to do during the COVID season. That's an option. But irregardless of all that, the SEC, big voices in the SEC, are willing to give up the championship game. And if they're willing, listen now. One of the big hurdles to the Army of 24, I think the biggest hurdle to get a 2014 playoff was the SEC championship game. Because it is so popular. It makes so much money. But if there's big voices talking about getting rid of the conference championship game, well, that is the biggest hurdle getting out of the way for a 2014 playoff. And of course, I think the 2014 playoff is going to be magical. I think 10 years into it, 5 years into it, 3 years into it, people are going to say this is incredible. And it did not lessen the value of the regular season. I'm not going to get on my soapbox right now. I think a lot of you are sick and tired of me pushing this idea. So I'll try to keep my mouth shut on that. But just like the Ross Dellinger article that talked about how March Madness was the biggest glue that we have right now, keeping things together, keeping people from breaking away, I think the 2014 playoff could be another glue that keeps us together, which I think as a college football fan is the best. Now, Cody Campbell's been giving Brett Yormark a few shots. Well, I'm about to give Brett Yormark a shot. I'm a nobody, though. I'm a nobody. So I'm not on a round table. I'm not part of some subcommittee. I'm not a booster of the Red Raiders. Okay. But why on God's green earth have Jim Phillips and Brett Yormark not pushed it publicly the playoff of 24? I will never understand why. Never. I don't believe in this 5D chess that people keep telling me. Oh, they're playing 5D. Oh, Greg, they're working under the ground. Oh, they're cloak and dagger, whatever. No, I don't believe any of that. I don't know what the heck is going on. You were out in public to be for the 5+11. Be out in public and be for the 23+1. Does ESPN have you by the you-know-what so much that you can't come out in public and be for the 23+1, the Army of 24? Is that what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And I don't get it. And Cody Campbell, that's the issue that Cody Campbell won't go after Brett Yormark on. I don't know. We've got a massive super chat. Holy smokes. We've got more to this live show. We've got a lot more. We've already been talking. I've been talking for an hour and 23 minutes straight. I said at the start of this program, we're going to be on here for a long time. We're going to take your phone calls. But this is a massive show. We're going through a lot of things that have popped up today. I don't even know if I'll get to the Irish story of last night. Information that we received. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. There is so much going on. The chatter behind the curtain is at a fever pitch. The chatter is so dang loud. And I'm going to try to give you the information as soon as I possibly can throughout this epic month of April 2026. We've got ourselves a super chat, a massive super chat. Rusty Grizz, my goodness. Army of 24, more auto qualifiers, less subjectivity. Keep autos G6. Everyone start playing on week 0. Adios conference championship games. Hello conference wildcard weekend. Indiana Hoosiers, Cincinnati, never daunted. Holy smokes. My goodness, what a super chat. Massive super chat.
Oh my God.
And even though that is a big, massive super chat, I happen to agree with everything he just said. Everything that he just said, it makes my heart, woo! Not only has the Army of 24 been not defeated on the battlefield, we're gaining in momentum. We're gaining in strength. You can see it every week. We're gaining in strength. We were laughed at. First we were ignored. Then we were ridiculed. But now people are listening to us. People are listening to us. Buckle up, brace for impact. Thank you, Rusty Grizz. Thank you for your incredible generosity, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you very much. A very large, long show like this, it really helps out. Thank you, Rusty Grizz. Appreciate it. Very kind, sir. Very, very kind. Unbelievable. Unbelievable kindness from Rusty Grizz. Appreciate it. And I'm sorry, we got more to go here. I know you guys want to call in. I know you guys are tired of hearing my voice. But we got more. This is a super show. It's an avalanche of drama in college football. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. And we've got an incredible generosity, 5 gifted membership by the Seminole Win, Morris Simmons. Holy smokes. Caden Diesel Freak. K Mag X87, David Allison, the great NASCAR driver, Kenneth Klager, and Laura Wellborn were all gifted a membership by the generosity of the Florida Seminole, Morris Simmons. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Morris Simmons. When you get a chance, all of you are knighted. All of you are knighted officially, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. That means you can go to our library of episodes, watch them all, including members only early P cloak and dagger. And for everybody else, we did drop episode 477 about the Brett Yormark and Cody Campbell spat. We did drop episode 478 talking about how Brett Yormark still wants UConn into the Big 12. So go check out episode 477 and 478 when you get an opportunity. Thank you, Morris Simmons. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Bimba7579 is in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Mr. Michigan Wolverine. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Morris Simmons. After surgery, check out UPSA. I just had mine checked out. I just had first of all, listen to Morris Simmons. Go get yourself checked out. I had my annual visit just a week ago during this very stressful time with me and the little general moving into our new home and new studio and everything. And I went to the doctor. He's been my doctor for many years. And he knows the show, the fat guy from Minnesota. He knows the stress that the little general and I have been in caretaking for 12 years. And before we took the blood tests and all the other stuff, I said to the doctor, I said, I don't care how bad the numbers are. Okay? I'm not willing to be hospitalized. I'm not willing for you guys to put me in a room right now. I got to get back home. I got to talk about college football. I do not care how bad my numbers are. And so the doctor said, unless you're something like gravely ill or in shock or something, like some big words that I did not understand when he said to me, unless you're like that, we can't keep you. Great. We just we're going to do the test. We'll show you the numbers. And surprisingly, and I showed the little general the numbers, surprisingly, the fat guy from Minnesota, I'm in bad shape, ladies and gentlemen. I got 1 foot into the grave. I got to get better. Hopefully not being the primary caretaker. I can get to the treadmill. I can get this life going again. But my test scores were normal. Every single score was normal. All of them. Glucose, every PSA, everything was in the normal range. So, now, of course, I could keel over and die with a heart attack any day, especially during a Golden Gopher game, especially during a watch party game. Any watch party game, because I get so excited. So, yeah, I could keel over at any moment. No question about it. But I think maybe you guys have to put up with me a little bit longer. But yes, listen to Morris Simmons. Get everything checked out. It's tough. I might be a little sexist against men right now, and I apologize if I get any of you upset with that, but men, I think, have a difficult time going to the doctor and saying, check me out. I know I do. Especially that I'm such in bad shape that it's really difficult to go there and say, all right, tell me what I need to know. But anyway, go check yourself out. Thank you for the great message, Morris Simmons. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're feeling better. Appreciate it. Jose is here. Go Black 45 is in the house. I did not see you sneak on in, Go Black 45. Go Black 45 is probably pretty upset with me. Go Black 45 probably is not happy with me. And I don't blame him, except I know something that he doesn't know. I know that I'm Greg the Gold this year. Greg the Gold. We had a live show, ACC, yesterday. We did our way too early order finish prediction. In the SEC, again, I have his LSU Tigers, number 2. We had that live show 2 days ago. LSU Tigers, number 2. Texas, number 1. Georgia slips to number 3. And disrespected Ole Miss is at number 4. So Go Black 45. Same with Ryan Brooks. Same with Christopher Hooter. Same with Roddy Richborg. All the LSU Tiger family members in PATC country. All of you believe that it's Greg the Cooler once again. Don't worry about it. I got this. LSU Tigers, I've got this. You're going to the SEC championship game. Possibly the last SEC championship game ever played. Possibly. Okay, you guys got to give me a moment here. I'm going to get caught up. Thank you, Morris Simmons. Thank you, Rusty Grizz. I see you, Leslie Hill. I'll get you in a second. Hold on here. I want to find the article. Give me a moment. We're not even to our biggest story yet. We haven't even gotten to the biggest story of the day yet. And that what Paul Finebaum said on the Bo Bishop show. Everybody calm down. Give me a little grace here. Give me a little grace. Long program, and we got a lot more to cover. And I apologize to everybody sending me, a lot of people send me messages and DMs during the live show, and I check them out. I have not been able to check out one of them yet. I will get to it as best I can. Everybody hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. What's going on here? Give me a moment. Okay. Let's see here. Now, what we're trying to find is, you know what? Did I like the post? I bet I didn't. Give me a moment, everybody. I do apologize. Nope. No, I wasn't smart enough to do that. Hold on. How about this? Okay, hold on. That didn't work. Okay. All right. I got it. All right. Everybody, I apologize. I was very organized for this long show, but things keep flowing in. At least that's my excuse for not being ready. Now listen to this. We just talked about the athletic director of Alabama talking about dumping the SEC championship game. Well, take a look at this. Also today, on April 2nd, 2026, Alabama athletic director questions whether conferences could eject schools breaking player pay rules. Alabama athletic director Greg Byrne really wants other teams to follow player competition rules. So much so that he suggested conference membership be tied to whether programs do so. Speaking to reporters on Thursday in Tuscaloosa, that's today, Byrne noted legal cases that could clarify whether limits to NIL spending were actually possible and mentioned potential harsh penalties for those who broke the rules. If they arbitrated and the ruling is in favor to where those deals being declined stand, unless, in other words, if the arbitration case comes in favor of the NCAA and the schools, and they can determine whether NIL deal is a true one or a false one, if that happens, I think we're going to have to question if schools go ahead and pay anyways this fake NIL dollars and go over the top of the rev share cap. Even though the House settlement has said you have rules, then I think that's going to get put back on the conferences about whether that's allowed. We all agree to the House settlement, and it's going to be really important. And then I don't have the rest of the paragraph, but I did read it somewhere else. Basically, the Alabama athletic director is saying, if the arbitration goes in favor of the schools, and if the school still doesn't follow the rules of player compensation, then you should be able to kick out the school out of the conference. You should be able to kick out the school out of the conference. So that is something else that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. Now, if the arbitration doesn't go in favor of the NCAA and the schools, if it goes in favor of the Nebraska 18, or if the SCORE Act doesn't pass, and if the SEC goes their own way, well, they can have those rules, right, within the conference. You only can spend this much. It's going to be a lot. And the SEC is going to be a lot. A lot. But if you do something like that, if you continually break the rules, you can get ejected out of the SEC. They could possibly have their own rule on that. I just wanted to bring that up. Eva Badger, Greg might kick the bucket after Wisconsin wins the Axe this year. My goodness, $5 holla. $5 holla. Thank you, Eva Badger, Ryan Willie, for the $5 holla for your generosity. I appreciate it. I'm not going to kick the bucket because Wisconsin wins the Axe this year. I might kick the bucket because the Golden Gophers keep the Axe this year. My body, my old heart that has a bunch of scars in it because I am the re-elected mayor of Loserville City, I think I can overcome defeat. I've got a lot of practice in being a loser. I've had a lot of practice in having my teams be a loser. I have a lot of... The Golden Gophers lost to the Badgers 15 years in a row, and yet I stand here today. I sit here today in front of you all. Where my heart kicks the bucket if the Gophers win again. Then it might happen. Thank you for the $5 holler. Ryan Willie, I appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. I don't think they're doing that, Jason Spangler. I don't think they're doing that. I can't believe the SEC seriously considered giving up football on a national level. All right. Okay, well, here we are. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We've gotten to the big story of the day. We would have gotten to this story about an hour and 30 minutes ago, but we had so many other things going on in college football. And here at Peek Around the Corner, we cover everything in college football. Everything. On the field, off the field. Paul Finebaum today on the Bo Bishop Show. The Fan 97.1 was asked the question about Greg Sankey saber rattling. Greg Sankey talking about how, look, I don't want the SEC to break away. I don't want us to break away from the NCAA. But we might have to if we can't govern ourselves. We might have to if the SCORE Act doesn't pass. We might have to break our own way. Bo Bishop asked Paul Finebaum basically, how serious is the SEC in breaking away? And Paul Finebaum answered, the barbarians are at the door. Paul Finebaum said, and he made it real clear, that there are many important voices in the SEC that are already done. They're ready to go. They're ready to leave the NCAA. they've had it. The barbarians are at the door. Those were Paul Finebaum words. They're already there. Some of them are already ready to go. More than ever. And Paul Finebaum, he talked a little bit about the SCORE Act and the problems they're having. And he talked about how Memorial Day is the day that we all have to look at. Memorial Day is the day that we have to look at for the SEC breakaway. I do not believe that Paul Finebaum was making it a direct, like, Memorial Day is the announcement. But SEC schools going to Destin, Florida, the athletic directors, momentum is all heading that way. And it sounds like to me he believes he's been told. I think there's no question he's been told that something is going to have to turn this ship around. The SEC, we talked about climbing Silo Mountain. They're climbing. Something is going to have to make them stop and climb back down. Because if nothing happens, if the SCORE Act, if nothing happens, they're going to climb at the peak of the mountain and the SEC is going to break away. In fact, Paul Finebaum said at the Bo Bishop show, he said these words. He believes that the SCORE Act is dead. Now they're going to continue going for it. They're going to continue to try. But he said the word dead. And then Paul Finebaum, so I think what he's saying is, I don't think he's directly saying there's going to be an announcement on this particular day, but that's basically the deadline. Memorial Day breakaway. Something has got to happen in the reverse to reverse this. The breakaway has become the chalk, basically, except we don't know what type of version of the breakaway. I think that's going to happen in phases. We've talked about that before. Paul Finebaum also discussed that it's time for the Big Ten and the SEC to basically make up and to get it done. For those two conferences, the breakaway. He says it's time. That's how fed up the SEC, people in SEC country. And we hear this from time to time. We do hear this from time to time from SEC folks in the PATC family giving us a call and saying, we're ready to go. We're done. We're ready to go. We see it in the chat room. We constantly see it in the chat room. If the SCORE Act doesn't pass, there's a few things that are holding us together, but those few things are starting to tear at the seams. The NCAA March Madness is one of those. The SEC wants more spots in that tournament anyways. The Big Ten does as well. Earlier on this live show, we showed you the report of Ross Dellinger when it came to the expansion of the March Madness. We talked about this about 40 minutes ago. In that article, Ross Dellinger says there's ongoing discussions about the Big Ten and the SEC breaking away from the NCAA. The discussions are ongoing, and as of right now, they are separate from each other. What happens if they're separate from each other, but at some point they get together and they do it together? Or they do it separately. As a college football fan, I do not like this one bit, and I've been fighting this. You know where I stand on this. If we have a breakaway, my dream of the Army of 24, done, destroyed. There might be a 2014 playoff, but it ain't going to be all of us together. The ramifications are going to be massive, and a lot of it is going to be unknown. I think college sports is going to hurt, but I do think the Southeastern Conference is going to get hurt the least. The Big Ten is going to get hurt the least. Everybody else is going to hurt a whole lot more. If we're sitting here on a very special Memorial Day breakaway, and I am going to continue to use the word breakaway, but that word breakaway has a whole lot of different variations to it. I would agree with that. We've talked about it. But if we're sitting here on a Memorial Day breakaway, if we are sitting here on a Memorial Day breakaway, what happens next is going to come awfully quick. I think whatever is holding people back from taking action is all going to be stripped away. In other words, we talk about the planes that fly around and fly around and fly around. When are they going to land, Greg? They're all going to land on Memorial Day. They're going to land or they're going to crash. But they're coming down. If what Paul Finebaum says turns out to be accurate. Now, of course, all of this is coming from much more than Paul Finebaum. But when he said this so clearly on the Bo Bishop show, it's an obvious, he's obviously being told some stuff. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Here's the deal. Jason Spangler, I'm out. This is a grift. Have a great rest of your day, fellas. Once again, I have no problem with people disagreeing with my opinions or information that I have received. I have no problems with people disagreeing with each other in the chat room. I'm out, but this is a grift. How is it a grift? Paul Finebaum did not say what he said. I'm reporting to you what Paul Finebaum said. I'm reporting to you what Ross Dellinger said. I'm reporting to you what the Alabama athletic director said. Which, by the way, coincides with everything we've been saying. Although there's a few surprises from the Alabama athletic director. How is it a grift? Because you disagree with it? Because you disagree with it as a grift? It reminds me of the day of when the Big 12 was attempting to poach the Pac-12, and I was being called a grifter by Pac-12 people. And at the time, guys like, and Jason Spangler did support me at that time. I was being called to grift on that. And I said out loud, I said, look, it is worse than I'm even reporting it. The Pac-12's ability to get that new media contract is even worse than I'm reporting it. The Big 12 is in better position than it was even worse. So I'm telling you, Jason Spangler and everybody else, it is DEFCON 1 and it's been DEFCON 1 for months. You didn't believe me then, and you're not going to believe me now, and I don't know what else to tell you. Other than everybody else is finally now reporting what we reported 4 months ago. That's a grift? Or is it just something, if you do not like what is being said, you just have to call the person who is saying it a grifter? I guess you graduated from the Immaculate School or the Tony Altimore School. Congratulations, you have been kicked off this channel. Again, I do not really care. I do not really care if you disagree with what I say. In fact, it makes the show better. But be careful when you use that word grift. I'm only reporting what other people are reporting. Paul Finebaum is not grifting. He doesn't need to say any of that. And it's coming from all different directions, ladies and gentlemen. What is coming down the road is coming from the chatter behind the curtain is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. All right. Now, you know what? I am going to keep the Notre Dame story. The information that we were given yesterday, we're going to keep it. We're going to hold it over until tomorrow, Friday, April 3rd. Because that's a big story unto itself. And I don't think I want to, I've been talking for 2 hours. I want to get to your phone calls. So we're going to hold over the Notre Dame silo story. But again, you know what? It's similar to all this other stuff. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are taking the Southeastern Conference very seriously in their threat to break away. I mean, Pavakwa and Greg Sankey are like this. But again, if you disagree, I must be a grifter, right? If you disagree. All right, let's get to the phone calls. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. The phone lines are finally open. After 2 hours, the phone lines are finally open, and I'm going to be here as long as it takes. As long as it takes. You know what? Let me take the phone lines off the hook for just a quick second. Brett Yormark to Amanda Kristovich on Front Office Sports says the following. Brett Yormark, Cody Campbell, fight over who runs the Big 12. He is not the dictator. Yormark went after Campbell in the media, and the billionaire Texas Tech board chairs tells Front Office Sports he is not the dictator of the conference. Two of the most powerful people in college sports are openly attacking each other by name in the media. Cody Campbell, the billionaire chair of the Texas Tech Board of Regents, criticized the Big 12 this week for forcing his Red Raiders team, which he has transformed into a national powerhouse with millions of dollars in NIL money, to play on a Friday night this fall. Friday Night Lights are sacred in the great state of Texas, Campbell tweeted Monday, referring to the popularity of high school football in the state. He called a possible Friday game between Texas Tech and Houston absolutely absurd and tagged the Big 12 commissioner. I know that Brett Yormark is not a native Texan, but he's been here long enough to know better. Yormark shot back in a story published Thursday morning. Cody Campbell does not run the Big 12, Yormark told Lubbock Avalanche Journal. Our board and our ADs approve playing 12 games a year off of Saturdays in an effort to raise the profile, narrative, and viewership of the Big 12. Texas Tech hosting a primetime game on Friday night delivers that. This is Campbell's response. He is part of the group that does run the Big 12. As commissioner, he needs to remember that he works for the presidents, and the presidents work for the boards, Campbell told Front Office Sports on Thursday. Campbell is the chairman of the Texas Tech system of the Board of Regents. He is not the dictator of the conference. That's not his role. It is his responsibility to advocate for his members in all cases. After the Avalanche Journal story ran Thursday morning, Campbell joked on X. Apparently, Brett didn't get the memo. Everything runs through Lubbock. Texas Tech won its first Big 12 title last year before losing in the college football quarterfinals. So I just wanted to show that Cody Campbell had a response to Brett Yormark saying that he's not a dictator. He is not a dictator. Barbarians are at the gate, not the door. That's good, serial killer, but I use Paul Finebaum's words. Paul Finebaum said the barbarians are at the door. So that's the words I used. But you are correct. You are correct, sir. Okay. Phone lines are now open again. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. If you give us a call, the phone line is open and the floor will be yours. Talk about anything in college football that your heart desires.
From
Rick?
Rick, are you there?
Press 1. To send a voicemail,
Nope.
press...
Rick, are you there?
I am.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for calling. Can you just hold on for 1 second?
Of course.
Vox Quindaro. Jason is a loyal viewer and contributor. He knows Greg is a man of integrity. The grifting comment had to be about Finebaum and the SEC, so he checked out. If that is a true comment about Finebaum, and I don't know how that could be. I don't quite understand that. But if it is, Jason Spangler can get a hold of me on X. We've talked about each other on X. But I did not take it that way. I mean, this is all but a grift, and I'm doing this live show. Of course, I believe it was about me. And you guys know I love disagreement. I love when Rick calls and we disagree. It's better. It's a better. But I'm not. That's not what we're doing. I'm not gonna. Those are one of the 2 or 3 things that I just cannot abide by. And he should know better, and he should make it more clear. Again, if it's about Paul Finebaum that he was talking about, I will graciously apologize and get him back on the channel. But it sure did not come out that way. Go ahead, Rick. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I was excited for 2 hours waiting for the Notre Dame information.
Oh.
Now I got 2 hours and 24 hours. 24. It's okay. It's okay. I think I know where you're going with it anyway.
Yes, I think you probably do.
What was the most important bit of information you put out today in today's show?
Ross Dellinger reporting that the SEC is expecting to go into early media negotiations with ESPN.
No. The correct answer is the SEC giving up their conference game. That's unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable.
That's coming from the athletic director, yes.
From the athletic director at Alabama.
Yes.
That is so huge.
Yes.
That tells me, first of all, you were right about how many people were adamant and really, really laying into you about misunderstanding how important that game was to people in the South.
Yeah.
And it is. And it is. It always has been. And it will be. But they are giving it up. They're sacrificing the SEC championship game, the Virgin, to the ESPN god.
Yeah.
Because ESPN wants those other games in a larger playoff. And to do so, they got to get rid of the championship game.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, it's a big moment. The tide is turning. We're gonna get an expanded playoffs, and most likely we're not adding. We're not going from 11 games to 15. I think we're going from 11 to 23 for that extra money.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right. But I just found that absolutely stunning. I wasn't ready for that, and it really took me by surprise.
Yeah.
But we'll see what other callers think.
You got it, buddy. I appreciate it.
I'll be tuned in tomorrow.
Yeah. We're teasing it. We're teasing it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye.
I normally don't do that, guys, but this show has been so stacked. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. I don't know, again, this is the last thing I'll say about it. I don't know how the word grifting gets used by Paul Finebaum. It's Paul Finebaum. I don't know how Paul Finebaum would grift. I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the word grift. Who knows? OBD done. Holy cow, what a day to be late. Again, we came on early because it was going to be a massive show. And we are going to be here as long as it takes for everybody to get their thoughts in, phone calls, whatever. We've talked about Cody Campbell and Brett Yormark going back and forth. We talked about how Brett Yormark still wants UConn into the Big 12.
From
Replica.
Replica, can you hold on for just one moment, please?
Go right ahead.
I appreciate it, Mr. Longhorn. It's nice to hear your voice again, sir. Nice to hear your voice again. We've talked about how Ross Dellinger said in a report today that the SEC is anticipating early negotiations with ESPN on their media rights. They're not going to be waiting around to 2034. The SEC is going to get themselves in prime condition to do what they need to do, with what they feel that they need to do to become even a more powerful entity. Then we got Alabama athletic director talking about two massive things. One, he's willing to dump the college the conference championship game, just like Texas athletic director is willing to dump the conference championship game. And then Alabama athletic director also talked about the possibility of dumping a school in your conference if you're not following the player compensation rules. We'll see how that goes in the years ahead. And then Paul Finebaum, the Barbarians are at the door on the Bo Bishop Show, the Fan 97.1 out of Columbus, Ohio. Paul Finebaum is telling everybody, look at the Memorial Day weekend. Look at the Memorial Day date as the time to look to see if the SEC is going to break away from the NCAA and break away maybe from everybody, except for maybe the Big Ten. We don't know. There's a lot of different variations of this. Replica, Mr. Texas Longhorn is on the line. The floor is yours.
Thank you. First off, it's good to hear from you. I hope you've been doing well. I've been pretty busy with work and whatnot, so I haven't been able to watch all the shows live, but I try to watch it on replay when I can.
I appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was scrolling on my timeline, and I was seeing petulant Cody Campbell again, just continuing to just destroy his public image. I have no idea what's going on in Lubbock or who these people think they are. You have one conference championship in the history of this conference, and you're acting like you're the grand poobah who built everything from the ground up, and everything has to be done to your will. Like, all these schools agreed to play on Friday nights. This is something you probably already knew about being on the board at Texas Tech. So why are we doing this performative outrage right now as if this is some kind of grand crime against football to play a college game on Friday night? Especially at this
sensitive time, at the position that he's in, right? It's
right.
Really something.
It's clinically insane.
Yeah.
Number one, everybody has access to a smart device, whether it be a phone, a tablet. People can watch the games in the stands of the high school games and watch Texas Tech. There's those people who are going to those high school games are probably not going to go to a Texas Tech home game because it's probably more important to them to watch their kids and their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand his rhetoric and his positioning. Like, he's talking as if he has some kind of leverage to either force Texas Tech into some kind of Super League that would benefit them, or that he got some kind of invite from the SEC. Buddy, the SEC and the Big Ten does not want to add your school, and that doesn't just apply to Texas Tech. That applies to most of the schools that are not in this conference. There's this myth out there that there's some kind of magic carpet ride for 8 schools to go into the SEC and 6 to go into the Big Ten, and you people are going to be very disappointed when that does not come to fruition. And I got news for all the Big 12 fans. Y'all know I'm fair. I criticize my own school. I criticize anything that I feel needs to be criticized. So this is not like a personal jab, but Yormark is the best thing the Big 12 has. And sooner or later, Adam Silver is going to walk away from his post as NBA commissioner. And I guarantee you, Brett Yormark is eyeing that position. And when he walks out the door, I don't know what this conference is going to do. Yeah. Because history tells us that this conference does not have the leadership at the conference level or the university level. So all this pouting and complaining about everything he does, from the glass courts, like, okay, somebody had a minor tweak. It wasn't like they tore their ACL. Somebody's national championship host went to dust. Like, this insistent, like, complaining about everything, it just needs to stop. And I don't know what this man. I don't know who this man thinks he is. He thinks because he's spending money that he gets to just write his own rules. If you're the only billionaire investing in college athletics, it's ridiculous.
We there's every year schools are complaining about their schedule, right? And the athletic director goes to the commissioner or the associated director of football or whatever and says, they start working the referee. They start like okay, we don't like this. Next year, can we get some grace on this, whatever? But to come out publicly in the manner that he did it, that, you know,
Yeah,
to take that,
it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
yeah, it's how he did
Because Ohio
it. And
State is complaining about the noon games on
Yeah.
Fox, and that's a valid complaint. But at the end of the day,
yeah,
these are all things that your school signed up for. Nobody
Yes.
had any problems signing up for Friday night games when you were being told you're gonna get $32 million a year.
yeah, I agree.
It's very tacky. It's unprofessional, and it's doing more harm than I think Texas Tech fans realize. If these guys come out and go 8-4, 9-3, if they don't win the Big 12 this year, he's gonna look like the biggest dope in college football. He just tweeted this morning, everything runs through Lubbock. Buddy, you have one conference championship in my lifetime. Like, pump the brakes, man. Like, I respect what Tech's doing. I think it's great that they're being competitive and doing it. But you're not Georgia. You're not Notre Dame, Ohio State. You don't get to call your own shot and then publicly disrespect people.
Yep.
It's not the way to go about doing things. And it's
Can I-
very rare for somebody who was so influential when he first to just kind of erode all of the goodwill. He has no goodwill anywhere in the sport.
No, outside of Lubbock, outside of Lubbock and maybe outside of Donald Trump's, and even that his influence is dispersed.
I think even, man, President Trump has bigger fish to fry right now. He's not concerned with saving college football.
Yeah, he doesn't have the influence he thinks he does. But anyway, I got to ask you about, Hollywood Smothers, Raleek Brown, Arch Manning, Replica. That backfield is going to be so exciting to watch in 2026. Are you feeling it, man? Are you feeling it? Is this the year Texas is back?
Well, I don't think we ever left. We just haven't been winning. But I think this is. I think this is the year that we can get over the top.
Yeah, I think so.
We just have to. You gotta put it all together. It's one thing to put together a great roster on paper. It's another thing to put on the field. But I'm excited to see what Sark can do with all these parts. He's got a lot of pressure on him, but I think he's up for it.
Yeah.
And,
I think so. And I'm Greg the Gold this year, by the way, Replica. So when I have Texas in the championship game, don't sweat it, my man. Don't sweat it.
Speak it into existence. We're gonna have a great year on our picks.
All right. I appreciate the phone call, sir. Call again. Nice to hear your voice, man.
Yes, sir. Take care.
I appreciate it. Beautiful call. Beautiful call. Replica back in the catbird seat. Burnt Orange, Texas Longhorns. Going to be a very difficult out. Great call by Mr. Replica. We've got a super chat. Eva Badger super chat. Hold on one moment, Eva Badger.
From
It's the most hated Ohio State fan on the planet.
to accept, press 1.
Is this Caden the Diesel Freak, or who is this?
This is King the Diesel Freak, the most hated OSU fan on the dang planet, Greg. What the
Okay,
heck
can
do
you
mean?
hold on for a moment? I got to get caught up. I've got some very generous super chats I got to get to. Just hold on one moment, please.
All right.
I appreciate it. Eva Badger. Greg? Oh, I already did that one. Sorry. Eva Badger, comrade. Cody is a crybaby. He's trying to use his connection with Trump to get his way. Thank you for the $5 holler. Eva Badger. I will say this. He has lost a lot of momentum with inside the Big 12. If you go listen to what the Big 12 people are saying on Cody Campbell, it is a complete 180-degree turn Because they're all looking at it like, why won't the Texas Tech Raiders play on a Friday? We all have to. Why? What makes them so special? So I think Cody Campbell has shot his own foot when it came to his messaging. Go ahead, Caden, the Diesel Freak. The floor is yours.
Greg, Jesus Christ, for the love of... This fans got to keep running their mouth. Jesus, heavens and Christ.
Are you driving right now, or you're coming in and out? We cannot hear you.
Hold on, Greg. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead, sir.
Jesus effing Christ, Texas fans. What are you ranting about? For the love of the effing Lord. Oh, my God. Greg, these Texas fans will not stop running their mouths about how Texas is back, how Arch Manning is going to do this and this and this. They won't stop this BS. I swear to you, Greg, I said it before, and I'll say it again. But the SEC, as far as I'm concerned, Greg,
yes,
as far as I'm concerned, it's basically Georgia's own house. Georgia controls the SEC. So, like I said before, until somebody dethrones Georgia, I mean, that's the only way somebody's going to be able to control the SEC if they dethrone the Dogs. And I'm talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. And speaking of conferences, Miami, I've been hearing from Miami fans that the convicts are back. And if you know the theme song from the hit TV show Cops, you would understand what I mean. The baddest boys in the 305 are back in the house, and I wouldn't be surprised. And here's the other thing, Greg. I didn't know if you've seen the poll made by one of the ESPN analysts. But according to that poll, Miami's chances of going back to the playoffs this season are 2% higher than Alabama's chances of going back to the college football playoffs this season.
Wow,
and that's a
only
preseason
2%,
poll.
huh?
So I'll tell you the teams that are in the higher points. Ohio State, obviously, Georgia, Oregon, Miami, and Alabama at number 5 by 82.4%. Now, Miami, however, is at 84.5%.
Oh.
Now, let me just say this. I told Jackson Johnson this fact not that long ago, and he's calling me stupid for saying that Alabama's chances of going back to the playoffs have significantly went down. When I told him the actual ESPN analyst that had the list that made it for the preseason, and he calls me a liar. I don't know if he's got too much ego to his name or something. I don't know. But I was just telling him the daggone truth. And speaking of the truth,
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Do I believe the SEC is only ruled by one team? Yes, to answer your question. But
I
here's
don't think
my
so.
thing.
I never had that question because I didn't think that was the answer. I don't think the SEC is ruled by one team.
Well, here's the thing, Greg. I'm talking specifically on how Georgia's the top team in the SEC, and they basically own the house, the SEC. So until somebody dethrones Georgia this season from making that claim, but also they back that claim up, then I don't see anybody in control of the SEC. Now, Alabama, however, was in control of the SEC when Coach Saban was coaching at Alabama. He owned the entire SEC. Now, since Coach Saban's left and Georgia under Kirby Smart has basically dominated and controlled the SEC taking the SEC by the throat. And as far as the ACC goes, that's Miami's territory. Now, as far as the point spread for the preseason poll, Greg,
yes.
I'll tell you this. Ohio State's point percentage as usual normal by at least 25. Georgia's up there somewhat a bit. But Miami is at 89.2% points favored to go back to the playoffs. And that meaning like their chances of going back but the winning percentage, that's the thing that shocked me. The winning percentage over Alabama.
Yes.
Yeah. But I just figured I'd give you the breaking news of the ESPN preseason poll that I found that I was just looking at, and then talking about the SEC. Because as an Ohio State fan, I don't care about a single ounce of the SEC. The only reason I'm paying attention to the SEC is because there's one good team in the SEC, in my opinion, that has truly shown that they can dominate, whether that they're in a tough situation or they have all the weapons, all the tools in the bag, all the tools and tricks in the bag. They can still show up for 60 minutes and they can play ball, and that's Georgia. Now, call me crazy, Greg, but
yes, I call you crazy. Yes, I do. Go ahead, sir.
But I really don't give a rat's ass.
Got it.
And I've got a message for the following that listen to your channel, Greg,
yes,
that have said a couple of things, and I need to get this off my chest.
All right.
And this is directly to Jackson Johnson, the Michigan channel, Jeffrey and Only Top Sports, and especially any of their colleagues. You said multiple times.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to stop you there because I can't have people calling in talking about other shows, what was said, what wasn't said, when they're not here to defend themselves. I'm not here as a sounding board, so we're gonna end the call right now. But I do appreciate your phone call. Please call back again, Caden the Diesel Freak. I appreciate it. I've had to do this before where other people want to attack other shows, and I don't want to be a part of that. But thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir. Call again, my man.
Hey, thank you, Greg. And let me just say, to be clear, it's nothing personal. It was just they said some things about my Ohio State Buckeyes that was completely false.
All right, you go ahead and give them a call. Give them a call.
Oh, don't worry. Tonight, you're going to hear it. So
all right, appreciate it. All right. I hope everybody understands that. We've had those calls before where, there's a battle going on between this YouTube guy or this radio guy and the caller, and they're going back and forth. And I don't want to, go ahead and say what your opinion is in college football. The floor is yours, but I don't want to be a sounding board in a battle between all that stuff. Hopefully you understand. Hopefully Opie understands. Jared Jones understands. Daniel Gorby, great call. Bob Swanger. All right, phone lines open, 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333.
Call from
John Boxleitner.
John Boxleitner, Mr. Virginia Tech Hokie, I believe. Go ahead, the floor is yours,
correct,
sir.
Good. Hey, it's kind of a big picture thing here, Craig. I've always been wanting to get talk to you. The first time I ever called. But,
I appreciate it.
First time I kind of had a day off work to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering with kind of big picture stuff, I kind of look at all the things that people are complaining about regarding college football, and a lot of it's valid, I was wondering what maybe you personally thought of, and what maybe you thought the power players in college football think about the idea of a kind of a nationwide relegation and promotion system like the English Football League has over like with the Premier League and the lower tiers over in England. And I have some thoughts on it, but I was wondering, I thought I'd just kind of see if I can talk to you about it for a couple minutes.
Oh, go ahead. I don't think the relegation stuff is ever going to happen in college sports. But, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I just don't think it's going to happen because I think the programs don't want to put themselves at that much risks. They're putting all this money into it. It's a public universities, some private, of course. You got to be able to, they're not franchise owners. They got to be able to know what they're going to be making the next. They need to know what their outlays are, what their revenue is going to be, projection revenues. And I just don't think it works in this system. I mean, it would work as a fan in this system, right. But I don't think it's going to, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I'm here to hear what you got to say, so go ahead, sir.
Okay, terrific. Let me just tell you, like, my story. Like, when I grew up, I grew up playing football as a kid, played football in high school and college. And, I've been following college football for 50 years, probably close to the amount of time you've been following it. And I look at some of the ways that they're kind of looking at college football. And I grew up hating soccer. I thought it was like the worst thing in the world. We had very derogatory things that can't be mentioned on your family show about soccer players growing up. And I kind of started, for one reason or another, starting to look into the sport of soccer and the club scene in other countries. And I couldn't believe how cool it was, to have the relegation and promotion system in play, especially when you have a lot of teams like college football does, that kind of consider themselves quote unquote Division One. And I think that one of the things that, if you want to genuinely keep viewers and really get people to watch stuff and be interested in, you really have to sell competition. Okay. And I think we buy too much into fake competition rather than real competition. And I think that it would be very good for almost every program in college sports. I'm talking just for football here. And I think when you think about the blue bloods of the sport, it would be sort of that other people perceive as being afraid of being relegated. Those, if you set it up right and have enough teams involved at each tier, that's probably not going to happen. And if you're looking at the top tier schools today who want to make more money, versus the other sort of the lesser program, so to speak, in the P2, kind of the bottom feeder, so to speak, there's no easier way to do it, than to do relegation and promotion. And I just think it inspires so much more competition in it, and it's more than just for the fans, but I just think it would be a really good system to explore. One of the things that I would do if I could, have my own relegation and promotion system is probably split the country in two, and I would probably do it along Big Ten states versus SEC states, and then fill in the rest, and then have a full regular season at your tier, which might involve 14 games, for instance. It's 15 teams in the East, 15 teams in the West, and then just have one championship game at the end. And while you'd be getting rid of the quote unquote playoff, the regular season would just be so much better, than the regular season that we have now, where teams are going out and scheduling 3 or 4 different cupcakes, and all this, and I just think it would keep more people, more programs involved. You would never have to draw the line. I hate the discussions that sometimes you and I both have to hear of hey, where's the line going to be drawn? Is it just going to be a 2018 breaking away? Is it going to be 48? Is it going to be this amount or that amount? And to me, wherever you draw the line, it's going to be drawn in an arbitrary way. And some teams who deserve to be in are going to be left out. And some teams that don't deserve to be in are going to be included. And that kind of bothers me as a fan. I would hate to see certain programs that really do the right thing to be left out, and would always give everybody hope, but there would not be any sense of entitlement to for teams to just to not get better.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, that's kind of all I had to say. I was just wondering what you would have to say, or what maybe some of the people, the commenters, might have to say about it.
Some people agree with you on this. It would make things interesting. People would not rest on their laurels and all that. Now, usually though, an athletic department spends every dollar they have every year, right? I mean,
Right.
whatever. So it isn't like a franchise owner who is gobbling up the money and not spending any of it, like some MLB owners did in the past, where it was just basically them making money and they didn't even care if they competed or not. I don't think that's what's going on here. But again, a lot of people are interested in that relegation in college sports. I just happen to think it's not going to happen, but I've been wrong before. I'm going to be wrong again, unfortunately. Not on college football picks this year, but on everything else. I could be wrong, sir.
Yeah,
I
I think that the people involved in college sports and the people involved in on the individual team or school level, I agree with you that they're probably too risk adverse to do it. Okay,
Yeah.
but the upside to it would be tremendous. I think that there'd be so much more interest in terms of TV. Maybe they're content with how much interested people are right now with TV. But I guarantee you have let's say Lane Kiffin and LSU playing in a game that if they don't win, they're going to get relegated. All eyeballs would be on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not saying that would happen, but I think people would be very interested in this aspect of competition, where right now we don't have that. It's almost like scheduling is risk adverse, that we're just going to schedule these easy teams here, and then that'll be our better. We'll have a better record, and then we'll get into the college playoff that way. Well, if you're playing only teams within your own tier, you're not playing anybody easy. Okay, every game of the regular season is going to be tough. And it would just make for, to me, a better regular season, okay, and it would make for better competition. It would give everybody a chance, not like you said, not have people resting on their laurels. And I think that the TV numbers would be even better than they are now. So
okay, I appreciate.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
You're a first-time caller. Please call again, Mr. Boxleitner, Mr. Hokie.
Okay, will do.
I appreciate it, sir. Beautiful.
Thank you, Greg. Happy Easter to you.
You too, sir. Beautiful.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Absolutely beautiful. First time caller, and hopefully he calls again. Did a very good job of explaining the relegation and the positive parts of that. I appreciate the phone call. We've got a super chat from Oklahoma Sooner, Mr. Cope. $10 holla. Holy smokes. Army of 24. Greg and breaking news again. Thank you, Cope. Cope? Sounds like Cope is a part of Army of 24. And it sounds like more and more SEC people are becoming enamored, becoming attracted to the Army of 24, the playoff of 24. More head coaches in the SEC are being attracted to it, and maybe Cope, Mr. Sooner, is starting to love it. Hopefully, we're gonna have a lot of earthquakes happening around Destin, Florida, during the SEC spring meetings. It's gonna be a fascinating time. Heck, the month of April, we talked about it, is going to be absolutely epic. Absolutely epic. An incredible month that is coming up. Beginning, but not ending with the decision, with the arbitration of the Nebraska 18. It's going to be something else. I hope you all stick with us as we cover all of this news in college football and in college sports. I do want to thank Cope. Thank you so much for your generosity once again. Thank you, Mr. Cope. I appreciate it. Cope, Mr. Sooner, MBM, Cowboy, Ryan Thomas, BYU Cougar, the Amazing Blue, the Michigan Wolverine, throwing an elbow at my Gophers. The Evil Badger, throwing another elbow at my Gophers. Tate Town Hawk, Buckeye Greg, BLG Oklahoma State Cowboy, Rusty Grizz, Indiana Hoosier with a massive super chat, Morris Simmons, Mr. Seminole, Leslie Hill, Eva Badger again, and Sooner Cope. Thank you for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We were on the air for 2 hours and 40 minutes covering all the breaking news, including Paul Finebaum talking about the Memorial Day breakaway. That is a date that we all got to keep an eye on. Paul Finebaum on with Bo Bishop, The Fan, 97.1, The Fan. So, again, we're going to take this day by day in the month of April. Tomorrow, we already know one of the big subjects that we're going to talk about tomorrow is the Irish silo. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish silo. A big, long conversation that I had last night. We were going to talk about it today, but our live show was absolutely stacked. So we're going to push it off to tomorrow. So please join us tomorrow. Again, get yourself notified, ring the notification bell, subscribe to our channel. I appreciate all of you. At some point, we should be able to get you more of a stable schedule and when we're going to come on live each and every day, but it's going to be difficult. I'll do the best I can. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, y'all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.